Hi, everybody. I'm Brian Professor B. Davis. Welcome to your San Francisco 49ers 2019 season recap on Niners Radio. I'm Brian Professor B. Davis. A recap of the San Francisco 49ers 2019 season. And I know for a lot of you 49er faithful still kind of, going through the process of that horrible feeling of that 31-20 heartbreaker to the Chiefs in Super Bowl 54 last Sunday down in South Florida at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. Kind of a rough one to end the season on a downer after a turnaround season. The Niners going from 4-12 to 13-3 and being within a game of the Super Bowl. I know a lot of you guys are still pretty upset, PO'd, angry, but I've gotten over it, and it kind of it's time to move on. So we're gonna recap the season. The Niners, of course, had their turnaround season, and or recap of the Super Bowl. The Niners fell just short, and again, our congratulations on behalf of Niners Radio. Congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs and the Chiefs Kingdom of winning Super Bowl 54, their first Super Bowl title since 1969. And the congratulations to the entire Clark family, Andy Reid, and the Chiefs organization on a fine season. But let's just recap of the season itself. The 49ers were the champions of the NFC West. They finished the season 13-3, first in the NFC West. They end up finishing in a virtual three-way tie for the top spot in the NFC with the best record. But the Niners' victories over both the Green Bay Packers and the New Orleans Saints earned the right to give them the number one seed, and they did, no doubt about it, earn that number one seed. Look at some of the numbers. The Niners' 479 points were the most by a Niner team since 1998. They finished second in yards rushing, 144 yards per game. First in rushing, touchdowns 23 for the season. Third in point differential, plus 169. Defensively, they were sixth in the league in forced turnovers, 27. Second in total defense, 281 yards allowed per game. First in passing defense, and 169 yards per game. Fourth in sacks, 48. That was the most for the first time since 2003 that the 49ers finished in the top 10 in both scoring yards per game. And then each of the Niners' 5 wins were decided by 20 points, including 3 games, which ended in a field goal won as time expired. And let's look of what they did in the postseason. Niners defeated the Vikings in the NFC Divisional Playoff in the first ever game at the MECCA at Levis Stadium in Santa Clara, 27-10. Then a week later in the NFC Championship game, Niners end up beating the Packers in their rematch back on Sunday Night Football, 37-20. And then the Niners falling, they had a 20-10 lead to the Kansas City Chiefs before the Chiefs scored 21 unanswered points in the final 6 minutes to win 31-20 as the Niners, for the second time in franchise history, the Niners would be runners-up, second best in football. And of course, this loss is more just as bad or even worse heartbreaker than the loss to the Baltimore Ravens back in Super Bowl 47 some 7 years ago. So when we look back at the season, the Niners, it was a tough way to end the season. And a lot of guys on the team looking back or just, licking their wounds and seeing how can they respond, because rarely, only I think, in the 8 of the last 10 years, only just one team or to lose the Super Bowl has come back and win it, or at least get back there again. And 2 has made it as a wild card, and of course, last year, or this past season, the Rams, who were last year's NFC champs, didn't even get a sniff at the playoffs. So, it's no guarantee you're going to get back to this point, and that's why, when you have opportunities like this, you better take full advantage of it, because next year is not promised you're going to ever get back there. So the Niners are a young team, and you look at the offseason, the projected salary cap, and like I said, anything, the reality is, to lose in that formality, in the way they did, and success at times will come at a significant price. And the Niners 2020 salary cap projection, the cap space capsule is at $16 million, $16.7 million they could spend. And then you look at some of the free agents, Emmanuel Sanders, who they acquired from the Denver Broncos right before the trade deadline. He'll be our unrestricted free agent. Jimmy Ward, $4.5 million. Garrett Selleck, who played just a few games. He's $2.5 million. Looks like he's on his way towards retirement. Eric Armstead, $2.46 million. There's been talk that he looked like he's going to be a possible franchise tag. The rest of the will be Sean Coleman, tackle, Ben Garland, Levine Toilolo, Devontae Moore, Jordan Matthews, wide receiver, Dante Johnson, Sheldon Day, Anthony Zettel, and Ronald Blair. And then also Quan Alexander have resulted in his contract. The Niners saved close to $10 million in cap space for 2020. And then also Weston Richburg, who missed with his torn ligaments in his patella tendons in his knee, missing the rest of the season. His contract was restructured. And then they're also pushing for a major, massive extension for tight end George Kittle, who deserves every penny of whatever he gets. And it's gonna be some tough decisions. And like I said, success is gonna come with a price. And and the Niners are no exception. Other teams will be shopping for these players' services, and the pie doesn't get any bigger. The pie doesn't get any bigger, and if you get a bigger slice, it wouldn't be fair for the other 31 teams to get a taste of that pie. So the Niners have to make some tough decisions. Also, what's going to happen with Jerick McKinnon, who didn't play a single down, missed the entire 2019 season from recovered from the torn ACL injury he had from the previous year when he missed all of 2018. So there are going to be some tough decisions, and it's in the NFL. This is just the business of football, the business of sports. It's not like the NBA where you can give out max contracts with the salary cap. The NFL is a tight budget cap, and it's a hard cap. So hopefully some of these guys could restructure their deals and make some by John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan. Lynch can make these right decisions, what's best for the team. And then look at the 2020 NFL draft. The Niners will be picking. They'll be getting the second to last pick. They'll be picking in the first round. First time the Niners will be picking out of the top 10 for the first time in 6 years. So the Niners will be picking out of the top 10 in the draft. The Niners will pick 31st, and second round goes to Kansas City for the D Ford trade. And then the Niners do not get a third. They will not pick. They will get a first round, and they don't get a second, third, fourth round. Second round goes to the Chiefs for the D Ford trade. Third and fourth round picks go to the Broncos for the Emmanuel Sanders trade. And then the fifth round, the Niners will get picked fifth and sixth, and then they get Detroit's conditional seventh round draft pick when they get back from when they traded Eli Harold. So in the offseason, this is going to be some of the moves. The Niners are going to have to address the interior offensive lineman, possibly Joe Staley, another heartbreaking Super Bowl loss for him. Question is, could this be his last game? Battled through so many injuries. Interior offensive line, safety, Wide receiver, possibly Sanders could be on the move. Cornerback, another linebacker. Cornerback, by the way, they need to get some speed at that position. Defensive line help, offensive tackle, running back, and tight end. And here's some of the new, some of the possibles the Niners will be looking at. Prospect who they'll be looking at: Trayvon Diggs, cornerback of Alabama, the younger brother of Minnesota Vikings star receiver Stephon Diggs, who did the Minneapolis Miracle in the playoffs against New Orleans 2 years ago. And then Tristan Colon Castillo, an offensive guard from Missouri, and Rob Landers, defensive tackle from Ohio State. So these are some of the moves that the Niners will be sending their scouts out to look at these prospects for the draft. Now let's take a look at the NFL schedule as we're doing this taping. So now the waiver system begins for 2020. Then on February 11th, beginning at 12 noon Eastern, NFL clubs may sign players whose 2020 CFL contracts may have expired. Players under contract with the CFL club for 2020, those who have the option for 2020 are not eligible to be signed. And then from February 22nd to March 2nd, that's going to be coming up in a few weeks. I think 2 weeks' time, the NFL Scouting Combine at Lucas Oil Stadium, that will be coming up a little less than 2 weeks. Will be at the Lucas Oil Stadium from February 24th to March 2nd at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. Then February 25th will be the first day of clubs to designate the franchise tag or the transitional players. Then on March 10th at 4 o'clock Eastern Time, deadline for clubs to designate franchise or transition players. March 16th to 18th, clubs are permitted to contact and enter in contract negotiation with certified agents of their players who will become an unrestricted free agent of the expiration of their 2019 player contracts at 4 o'clock Eastern Time on March 18th. March 18th, prior to 4 o'clock Eastern Time, clubs must exercise their option clauses in their 2019 contracts. And then on the 18th, 4 o'clock Eastern Time, clubs must submit qualifying offers to restricted free agents with expiring contracts for the rights for refusal/compensation. New York time, or 4 o'clock Eastern Time, clubs must submit minimum salary, tender to retain exclusive rights, negotiation right to their players expiring 2019 contracts will have fewer than 3 accurate seasons of free agency credit. Then you got the top rule, 51 rule, club must be under the 2020 salary cap prior to 4 o'clock Eastern Time. And then all 2019 player contracts will expire at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. Then on that same day, the 2020 league year and free agency period begins at 4 o'clock Eastern Time. That'll be on March 18th when the free agency period begins. That's the first day of the 2020 league year at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Time. That is 11:59 Eastern Time. That will be approximately at 8:59 Pacific Standard Time on March 18th. Clubs will receive personnel notice that will include all transactions to submit to the league office between 4 p.m. Eastern Time and 11:59 Eastern Time on March 18th. Then that same day, the trading period begins at 4 o'clock Eastern after expiration of all 2019 contracts. Then the free agency period will begin. Then from March 29th to April 1st, the annual league meeting will be, and they will be in Palm Beach, Florida. Then clubs on April 6th hire new head coaches after the end of the 2019 regular season, may begin off-season workout programs. And then on April 17th, deadline for restricted free agents to sign their offer sheets. On April 20th, clubs returning with head coaches may begin off-season workout programs. And then April 23rd to the 25th will be the 2020 NFL Draft. The first draft of this new decade will be in Las Vegas. The home will be in late April. Then beginning of the day, NFL clubs may request permission to visit or try out any players who were under contract with the XFL at the conclusion of the XFL season. And then May 1st to the 4th, clubs may hold their 3-day post-draft rookie minicamp Friday through Sunday or Saturday through Monday. And then you're looking at the clubs from May 11th will be the rookie football development program begins. And then they have May 14th to the 17th, rookie premier invite rookies. First and second round picks must be permitted by the respective clubs. Clubs such attend such players are unavailable for off-season workout OTAs, minicamps during the period. And then May 19th to the 20th, the spring league meeting will be at Marina Del Rey, California, down in Southern California. And then June 1st, deadline prior to clubs to offer June 1st tender to its unsigned restricted free agents receive qualifying offer for the right to refusal in order for such player to be the CBA June 15th tender provision. And then June 15th, club the withdrawal qualifying offer restricted free agents still retain the negotiation rights to sign by June 15th of a one-year contract, 110% of the players prior to paragraph 5 salary with other teams that carry contracts. And then the rookie transition program be held in individual clubs, and then the pretty much New York, or 4 o'clock Eastern, July 15th, New York time or Eastern time, deadline for any club to designate a franchise player to sign such a player a multi-million-dollar contract extension after the date the player may sign only to a one-year contract prior to the club for the 2020 season, and such contract cannot be extended after the club's last regular season game. So then after that, then the signing period to sign ends for all unrestricted free agents on July 22nd, and then the signing period ends for transition players with outstanding tender dates, and then that's around the time when training camp begins. So that is a scoop of what was going to be for the 2020 date, NFL dates from the offseason through the new league year, what will be coming up, though. And then now, as we are now looking towards other news for the 49ers, we would like to also reminder that some of the awards that came out, though, that George Kittle was named the Len Eschma Award winner. DeForest Buckner was named the Bill Walsh Award winner. And then the Bob McKittrick Award went to Mike Person. The Hazleton Ironman of the Year goes to Quan Alexander. The Thomas Harrion Memorial Award goes to Dre Greenlaw. And then the Ed Block Courage Award goes to Solomon Thomas. And then the Perry Yeoman Unity Award goes to Ben Garland. And then Community Relations Award, Service Awards go to Ben Garland, Aziz Shayed, and Raheem Mostert. And then at Walter Payton candidate nominee was Richard Sherman. And now let's get to it. Now with the Super Bowl and the season, the 2019 season is over. Here are going to be the Niners' 2020 opponents. And you think how bad that loss to the Super Bowl is. The Niners are going to have to, try to delete this real quick, real soon, because the Niners will be having of course, they'll have their divisional home games and road games. But then here's the Niners they'll be coming to the MECCA in 2020. It will be the Packers will be coming back out here in the rematch of the NFC Championship. The Niners will get the NFC East in 2020. Philadelphia Eagles, Washington Redskins will be making a trip out to the MECCA. And then the Niners get the AFC East. So the schedule will be not going to be a cakewalk. 5 teams out of the 16 games will come back as playoff teams on the schedule. Miami Dolphins and Buffalo Bills will be making a trip out to the MECCA. Both of those teams will, by the way, be making their first ever trip to the MECCA in Santa Clara. And then the Niners go down to Big D to take on the Dallas Cowboys. They'll get the New York Giants and the Jets twice at the Meadowlands. And then they'll take on the New England Patriots, a potential Jimmy Garoppolo versus Tom Brady in Foxborough. Purchase your season tickets for 2020. Go to 49ers.com to purchase or renew your season tickets. And that, by the way, it's a sad moment for all of us at Niners Radio, because this is our final season wrap-up. Of course, if you missed the final show of Niners Radio the other week, And I'd like to thank everybody for Niners Radio throughout the year, doing a great season, from all of the thousands who've been watching our pre and post game shows. And I'd like to thank, first I'd like to thank Brian Bauer, Dina Howard, for giving me the opportunity to be your weekly reporter here in San Francisco. Brian Bauer, Dina Howard, thank you so much. I would also like to thank the Empire Row, Jay Esperanza, Lisa Gutierrez, Abe Udea, Joe Dutori, Antonio Alvaro for Arvalo Productions, the Niner Empire crew from Robin Gage to Trey and Chuck Bracewell for their hospitality all year long. And for all you faithful, I know it's hard right now and it hurts the way the Niners lost, but, hey, we're faithful and we're going to come back to this. And, and I'd like to thank all of you for watching Niners Radio pre and post game all year long. For the latest news on 49ers and so much more, go to 49ers.com. And at this time, it's over for us at Niners Radio. And like they say, it's time to surrender the stage. And I'm Brian Professor B. Davis. Thank you for being your pre and post game all throughout the last 3 years on Niners Radio. And it's time to surrender the stage. And, when a door closes, another resurfaces. So that's it for now. For the final time, for our 2019 Niners season recap, I'm Brian Professor B. Davis for Niners Radio. For the last time, Niners Radio has been in association with ASM Bay Area, where every team has a fan and every fan has a voice, the network home of champions. And on behalf of ASM Bay Area, thank you for all you Niner faithful for watching all year long. 49ers football, faithful then, faithful now. Go Niners!